Hi guys. Actually, today is the last lecture of this course of yours. But the next week I will go through the study guide for the final exam, like the final quiz. Today I will go through this lecture and about the assignment, the project 8, the last project that you have to do. It will due on the next week Friday. Yeah, you have 2 weeks to complete it, the last project. And also I will go through a few. There are few questions left that's regarding the illusion of motion, so I will go through that one as well. So you can do the quiz 6 next week, but the final exam will be the week after that. Yeah, week after, the second week of from today, because I will go through the study guide for the final exam next week. So you will have the exam week after that. Just give me a minute. Okay. Right. Today we will talk about the illusion of motion. Last week we talked about the illusion of space. So illusion of space, we talked about how we are going to represent the 3D elements in 2D surface, like that. Most probably how we are going to incorporate the depth in the 2D surface. So the illusion of motion is like, now our life is like we have movements every time we walk, we jump, or so many activities are there. So how we are going to incorporate that into our 2D surface, like on paper. Yeah, this is what we are in a movement. So I will just, okay, good. Yeah, this is a way of also representing the our activities. It's called a depicting the transient. It's like we cannot just incorporate the like a moving, like a clip or something like that into 2D surface. We will capture a one image, like one situation of the movement, and take it into the 2D surface. So that's what it's called, depicting the transient. The best way of doing this one is a photography, because some of these activities or getting a still image of a movement can be done using photography, because in our eyes, because of this rapid movement, we cannot perceive that in our eyes. So but the photography can do that. So this is a one image that you see, we cannot see in our we cannot perceive this one in our eyes, just we will see it as a movement. But in the photography, you can take this one situation and get that into the paper or like the photograph. And anticipated motion, this is another concept. Like, can anyone say by looking at this image what is happening? What do you see? Yeah, she's falling. So but actually you cannot see the whole movement there, but it's captured one situation from that whole movement. But you know that she's falling because of your past experience, you know. But when someone just born and just see these things, no one can understand. Because of your experience and your memory, you see that when you see this kind of a image, you know that she is falling. That is called the anticipated motion. And when it comes to kinesthetic empathy, I also explained this one to you. It's also the same concept. Like when you see this basketball player, he's just trying to score a goal. So what you see, like put the ball into the basket, but you can, kinesthetic empathy is going beyond a little further. Like, okay, we can say he's going to shoot this, he's going to score, but can it also be like the ball he might miss the ball, put into the basket. So it's like more emotional and like you said something. Okay. So kinesthetic empathy is a little bit more go beyond than the anticipated motion. It's like also our memory and our past experience also help us to identify the real action in it. But if this player, just imagine if this player is not having this kind of like say he's just vaguely going and trying to put the ball in, then you can also your kinesthetic with your memory and all that, you say okay, he will not going to score a goal. So kinesthetic empathy is, that's why I call it's more beyond than the anticipated motion. Kinesthetic empathy can be emphasized with the figure and ground, what we talked before, like see here the dark, the two contrasting differences between the ground and the figure, and also about the lines. But this one doesn't show exactly that movement, but when we go through it, I will just show another good example for it. Lines also helps to do that, figure and ground. And there is another, just forget about it. Yeah, and the gestures. Yeah, that's I talked about before. These are the types that like the ways that we use to show the illusion of motion in 2D surface. One way is the figure repeated. I think you know this one in the comic books and all that. You have, it's like you have images, a series of images having the same figure, same character repeated, and just having like so let's say you have a story, but you will take certain situations and draw them on the paper, like situation by situation, but in a not like a continuous movement, but in a certain, after a certain period what is happening, but then you can build up the story by looking at it. This is the easiest way of showing the illusion of motion, by having series of images of a same character. And this is also just go along with that concept. It's like figure cropped. Figure cropped means like last week we learned about that open form concept, like when we crop the image by letting a certain area outside, so our eyes will go beyond the frame like this. So this is another way of showing the illusion of motion that you can this concept is used more when you are doing when you have some action like tense actions like that, you can use this concept. Yeah, this is a good way of checking your kinesthetic empathy. Like say this player is trying to catch the ball. That's what we see, like the anticipated action, anticipated motion. You see like he's going to catch the ball, but kinesthetic empathy, the way he's jumping and all that, you can say whether he will catch it or not. You can predict like that. So it's like, that's what I said, it's go a little beyond than the anticipated motion. And because of this whole image, like this person has been cropped in, so it's like your eyes will also go beyond that, like you will see like there is a whole lot of actions around it. This is the other way. When we talked about, we first talked here figure repeated and figure crop, and this is another way of doing it, that is blurred outlines and fast shapes. When you do any sketching or anything, if you have, or just taking photographs, you will, when you do a painting or something, if you have blurred edges, you can also show that the motion of certain elements. So you can use that concept, and also sketchy lines, not having a contour line, just marking the exact line of it. You can also show this motion. And this is also another one, the blur lines, like a continuous line using from the photography. Also, you can show the illusion of motion. See, this is another example for it. The blurred images. So you see this like rotating because of the lines blurred. This is another way of doing it, like you have certain series of still images, like of the whole movement. It's called the multiple image. The action is captured by so many sequence of images. This is another way. You can also, using your artistic ability to do that, these things, not by only by photography. This is another example for it. So you just capture the series of images of the whole movement and represent that in one image. And this is another way of lines of force. This is artwork by Marcel Duchamp. Here it's the staircase he drew with continuous lines, and a figure. He also, as we explained before, he used that figure continuously with the movement, having here, see the series of images on all steps. So lines also another element that you can use. Actually it's a repeated lines you can use to show the illusion of motion. This is also showing that the multiple image concept using only the paint and lines, and this repeated lines also giving, just improving also the illusion of motion. And you not only using that concept on your figures, you can also use that in your abstract images as well, to show that whole this you can also get that sensation of motion. Another way of showing those showing the illusion of motion is using some multiple images of the same situations but using a different figure. This is how it has been achieved here. See, in every image you won't see the same person, but the situation is the same. This is actually a same figure using a different this is another one, optical movement. Optical movement, there is a one point like after image. After image is like when you look at this figure here, when you look at it, can you see after you seen this at a certain while, if you just look at a different place, you can see the same thing, but with the what you call the complementary color mode. This is called the after image. So looking at it, this happens with these optical illusion figures. And also, can you see some black dots in between these white dots? So it's like moving here and there. That is what is called the optical movement. But the after image is like when you're looking at this image and when you are looking at it, when you look at a different place or different surface. You can see the same image there. This is another optical movement example. These lines are parallel, but because of these, because of the arrangement of these black and white boxes, you see these lines are crooked. And you also see it's going up and down as well. So that's another way of showing the illusion of motion. Can you see also these figures? When you see in this one, the middle part is rotating on left in one side, the other one is rotating on the opposite direction. So these optical movements illusions are used to can be used for your giving some certain sensation of motion. So that is the basic, that's the all for the illusion of motion. I will go through some 2D and the things that we learned also, because we need this one to do your project, the final project. So just remember, these are the basic things that you can use to represent the illusion of motion. Figure repeated, figure cropped, blurred, multiple images, lines of force, grouping multiple images, and optical movement. So after image is going along with the optical movement as well. So I think everyone knows about the design process. Just these 3 simple words that we learned in the beginning. Anyone remember the process? It's thinking, looking, and doing. It's like first we think what to do, and then we get some experience from the environment, nature, the everyday situations, and then we are actually doing it. That's what you did also, the projects that you did, and the 3D, the first monument that you did, because you actually needs to put your hands onto it and just work on it. And that's not just a process like thinking, looking, and doing, that's finished. No, you can go back again and again rethink, and if there are any changes to be done, you can do it like that. So it's a circle, continuous circle actually. Yeah, this is okay. So we learned about point and the movement. When we move a point, we learn that it's line, and when the lines, when we connect lines, we get a plane and the shape, and when you connected those shapes and all that, you will get a form. So it's like simply point created the lines and the line plane and then the form. That's how it comes. So this is an example of showing how the lines have been used to create the planes. Can you see in this one, you have certain series of planes. Those have been created using lines. It can be, lines can be just straight lines or curvy lines. And we learned about curvilinear and rectilinear. So those also, those lines, using those lines, we can create shapes, and also using the shapes, these ergonomic shapes and all that, we can create different types of like cubes and also these kind of shapes. And this is another example showing the different experience that you can get by connecting different types of planes. When you go in here, you will feel differently. Here you will feel differently because of the, you will get the 2 planes just on both sides of that person. And here you have a circular plane. You will feel it differently. So planes can be used to give different sensation and or different experience. This is just looking like a spaceship like thing, alien kind of a thing, but this is actually a lime squeezer. This is like what you can do, like you can inspire from certain things, and when you are doing designs, and from there, this is like you see these things in movies or in any other way, and but you inspired from it, and you think about it, and then you will do it, you will try it, and again you can just go back and rethink. And if because actually I think this is not functioning properly, but you can then again rethink and you can remodify it, and then you can get your final solution. So inspiring is also another good thing that you can do when you are doing designs. And another important thing when you do your any designs like the 3D, mostly in the 3D, when you are doing 3D elements, think about the light and shade. That's also more important thing, because it can give the light and the darkness can give different sensation. So the interior design students are here, so they can use that light and shade in their spaces, and also merchandising. They can use also the spaces to highlight certain space, or just to follow through you can use the light to create pathways, the movement of people, and see the two different the same situation, how it looks in two different lighting conditions. It's give two different sensation. These are some of the example for the interior spaces that has been done using the lighting. And this is also a merchandising space to highlight certain elements, like but it's also showing the illusion of motion as well by repeating these curved lines. And let's talk about little about the materials that you are going to use. Materials is also an important thing when you are doing your designs, because you need materials can be used to create certain textures in your design. So textures, it's we talked about it like the feeling, how the texture is. Sometimes we don't need to just touch it, but just because of our experience and all that, the kinesthetic empathy and all these things will apply. When we just look at it, we see that's a rough surface, and how the light and shades will appear on it, how smooth the surface is, like that. And the color also played a major role when you are just experience the texture. So these are some of the example. I don't know whether have you guys experienced this place? This is a gathering space in Tulsa. This space has been used the different types of timber using on the ceiling. This give a different character rather than the other image that I'm going to show you. This one. This is have a kind of a curved wooden pattern on the ceiling, but this has more rough, uneven timber planks connected to each other. So this one is giving a different sensation to that space, and this is giving a different sensation. And also the transparent, this glass giving like this is like a floating roof here. So materials play a major role in your everyday design work that you are going to do in the future as well. So think about it when you create a space. Don't use the materials as it is. Try to play with it to give, and also try to use the lights here. One example how the light fall onto the ceiling and how it reflects with the beams and all that, how the darkness play here. So if you want to show a certain place highlighted, you need the other spaces to be more darker than the space that you are going to highlight. And the materials have two types, like additive and subtractive. It's like adding material, the one that we see at the gathering space, like timber planks. We have one material called a timber. So we have pieces of timber planks connected to each other. This one is called additive. Subtractive is like you get one material and you remove the parts that you don't want. And this is the example after that person took this whole trunk and just remove the parts that he doesn't want to show. So this one is called subtractive. And the other thing is constructive process. The constructive process is how those you don't have only the timber or and the steel or glass or like that, but you have to join these every elements with it, every elements together. So when you are doing it, you need to know about the details of it, how you are going to connect it and like that. So that's all. Yeah, this is just a video. Just you can go through this. Get ready. This is like water droplets just dropping from this unit, and you can see this this link is there. You can watch the link. And this is just a thought, like good design is called CRAP, like contrast, repetition, element, alignment, and proximity. You can use these points in your design as well. So that's all for today. Do you guys have any question about this? Is just the final few things I talked about it because of when you are doing your this 3D composition, because it's the assignment is like from the 2D you come into the 3D. So you can use this light and shade and the material texture of the component that you are going to do, and the form that you're going to use for your final design. All these things should give the idea that you are going to create in your 2D, your theme. That's why I said everything matters when it comes to the 3D component. Do you have anything about this one? Just any questions to ask? Or so I will go through the assignment first, and then I'll go to the study guide. So it's the project 9 actually. Okay. So first you have to do 2D sketches. First you have to think about a social event or any situation, like you can take a theme like war, peace, love, or a certain incident happened in a country that could be, or movement, a certain like sudden movement of a certain place, that also can be taken. But you first have to sketch it on paper first. You can use the illusion of space and illusion of motion, like you can do perspectives, or you can use like a storyboard kind of thing, like for the we call like the illusion of motion, but to show that the theme that you are going to do, this is like, but not the actual, I don't want the 3D part, like this is what I'm going to do, to show it in the 2D sketches, to show your idea. Like let's say we say, take an example here. I think we have here something good from, let's say, okay, let's say this there is this image. It's something happened in Syria. So it's like there was some killing or something happened, but the person wrote it and showing, looking at a certain eye, like this should not be happening in this one. And this is a day that they celebrate, not a celebration actually, they, what you call it, like memory or something like that. So but it shows in the 2D what it is the person is going to do. And in that one, this is how the 3D component created, by taking the theme of it, showing it in this one, and with the burnt flowers, and how they came up from that certain incident and growing up again, like that. So this is what we want, like not to have these things drawn on this one, but have the idea of it, what you want to say in 2D. But you can do certain few sketches and then finalize it, what you are going to do, and you will have only one 2D image. Like you can use black and white and you can use color, but try the basic, at least you need to have like a you can also have without color, like the black and white image as well, if that theme is representing using that color. Then after finalizing this one, then you create your 3D component. So first you finalize your 2D sketches, show it to your TA and approve it, get the critique and just say, okay, you go ahead with it. Then you go and do your 2D, complete it, and then you go to your 3D. And this one, there is certain sizes. 12 by 15 white crescent board needs to be used to do the 2D, and 18 by 18 cube. Within that, you have to have your 3D component. Do you guys have anything about this one to ask the assignment? And it's due week after. You have 2 weeks to complete it. I will check on this one, the verbal presentation, but I haven't seen there is a part. If there is a verbal presentation, I will let you know. Otherwise, it will be a written component. And your study guide, I will go through your study guide for yeah, this one. I talked about this one the last week during the study guide. I think I went through this. Yeah, when this one, yeah, methods of illusion of space. Yeah, what is kinesthetic empathy? I explain it today as well. It's like from your memory and your past experience, you unconsciously know what is going to do, but it's like from your this memory and all that, you will predict what is going to happen. But just looking at a certain one image, not You will not see the whole movement, but by looking at a certain situation, you can say this is what is happening, like predicting. Yeah, storyboard is something the same like we talked about. It contains the repetition. We talked about figure repetition and the cropping and changes of position of figures are all come under this storyboard. Example of optical movement. Yeah, this is after image is also a part of the optical movement. Optical movement is the what you call the illusion of like the moving elements in a graphical composition. And after image is like the same thing that you get when you are having the optical movement, like looking at it, and when you look at a different surface, you will see the same thing. These three, I explain it to you. Do you want to know about it, or just are you okay with it? Okay. Linear perspective is the one that we learn about 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, and 3-point perspective. All these the vanishing points. I told you the lines that created the horizontal lines all are going and connected to a 1 point. That's called 1-point perspective. But that point always lies on the horizon line. 2-point perspective is also the same, like you will have 2 vanishing points, all are just lies on the horizon line, but on 2 sides, like left and right. 3-point, it's another point. The third one is bottom or top, the point of view that you are looking at the element. But that third point is not on the horizon line, but 2-point perspective and 1-point perspective, you have the vanishing point going into the. But the linear perspective is, we mostly talk about the 1-point and the 2-point. Just remember the linear perspective, you have vanishing points and it lies on the horizon line. Aerial perspective is about the value of the color. I talked to you about the tint and the shade, how you use the more shady and the contrasting things. We see it like they are more closer to us, and when it becomes tint and blurred, it's more far away from us. Isometric projection is every line that has like the horizontal and vertical lines are not getting into any of the vanishing point. It's all are parallel. That's what it called the isometric projection. Yeah, that's photography. Do you have anything? Or are you okay? Yeah, method to create illusion of space, we use that. This is one. Linear perspective. And aerial perspective. And also what we talked about, the size difference. When you have big, the same figure, if you have a big scale, you see it in more closer to us, and when it becomes smaller, it's more far away from you. That's the one. I think is linear, aerial, size, and also the what you call this one, overlapping is also one. You have one figure and you show it the other figure at the back. That's also a way. The size and the overlapping are the simplest way of showing the illusion of space. Do you have any other questions? No. We will have the quiz 6, then I shift that quiz 6 to next week. So then you know about this study guide, then you can do it next week. And next week I will go through the study guide for the final exam. And guys, I think just a thing, you guys, you will get this survey for the survey. I think whether you have received it or just go through it. Just that. Yeah. Okay.